Dear students, in this lecture module, we'll start with chapter 2 of chemistry. Is matter around us pure? Firstly, we'll try to understand what is meant by matter. Anything that occupies space, has mass, offers resistance, and can be felt is what is referred to as matter. So, whatever you see around you, whether that is animate or inanimate in nature, is what is matter. Talking about the classification of matter. Matter can be either classified on the physical basis. The physical classification of matter classifies matter into solid, liquid, and gases. Whereas on the basis of chemical classification, it can be classified into pure substance and mixtures. Pure substances include elements and compounds, whereas the mixtures comprises of homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Pure substance is the one which is made up of only one kind of particle. Example, elements and compounds. So element and compounds, they are made up of basically one kind or similar kind of particle. The elements is made up of atoms. Atoms combine together to form molecules. Element is a substance which cannot be split up into two or more substances because it is made up of only one kind of particle. In the diagrammatic representation, we can see that there is the element iron which is shown. Elements, they can be basically of three types: metals, non-metals, and metalloids. Metals have the characteristic property like they are lustrous, they are sonorous, they are ductile, they are malleable, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. Whereas the non-metals lack these properties. They are brittle, they are generally soft, they are not good conductors, they are bad conductors, they are non-lustrous, non-sonorous, non-ductile, and non-malleable. Metalloids, they exhibit the property of both metals as well as non-metals. Like example, silicon, germanium are the examples of metalloids. There are few elements which show some property of metals. Like for example, metalloids look like metals, but they are brittle like non-metals. Therefore, they are referred to as metalloids. The example of metals are iron, silver, gold, aluminium, to name a few. The examples of non-metals are carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine, etc. A compound is a substance which is formed by combination of two or more elements in fixed proportion by mass. Example of compound is water. A compound can be broken down into two or more elements, but not just by physical process. We'll have to use chemical methods for the separation. Other example of compounds include like carbon dioxide. Talking about the pure substances, that means the element and compounds, we have discussed iron, copper, hydrogen, oxygen, water. Oxygen are the elements. Water, that is H2O, sugar, glucose, that is C6H12O6, and common salt, that is NaCl, are examples of compounds in nature. Mixture is formed by combination of two or more pure substances which are mixed in any proportion. Example, seawater, minerals, sand and salt, sugar and water, the example of mixtures. Let us try to understand the difference between pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances are made up of single type of substance, whereas mixture comprise of two or more substances. Pure substances cannot be separated by physical methods, whereas mixtures can be separated by physical methods. Like example, a mixture of sand and iron filings can be separated by using magnet. Pure substances has its own definite properties, whereas mixtures show the properties of the components it is made up of. Mixtures could be further subdivided into two, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous mixtures have uniform composition. There is no boundary of separation which will help to distinguish the components which make it up. The particles of mixture, they are not visible by naked eye. They cannot be separated by filtration because the particle size is very small. They are stable. They will not pass a beam of light. Example, sugar in water, salt in water, copper sulfate, that is CuSO4 in water. These are transparent solutions which have homogeneous composition. Whereas heterogeneous mixtures, there is a boundary of separation and they have non-uniform composition. Example, a mixture of salt and sand, mixture of sulfur and iron filings. The mixtures as discussed could be like a mixture of salt and water. That could be either homogeneous, they could be either heterogeneous in nature. Homogeneous are the ones which completely mix together so that there is uniform distribution. Example, mixture of sugar or water or salt or water. Heterogeneous mixtures are those in which substances they remain separated and particles are uniformly distributed. Example, mixture of salt and heterogeneous mixtures are those where we can see the distinct boundary between the two components. The example could be muddy water. Talking about the true solution. So here when we talk about the heterogeneous mixture, it will be a mixture of sand or it could be a mixture of mud. That means muddy water. Talking about the true solution, they are the homogeneous mixtures. Solution has got two components. The larger proportion is referred to as solvent and the smaller is solute. So solute occupies lesser amount and the solvent a larger proportion. Example, tincture iodine, soda water, to cite a few examples. True solution are homogeneous, cannot be seen with naked eye because the particle size is very small, and when the particle size is very small, they'll get totally dissolved in the solvent. They are transparent. The size is less than 1 nanometer. They do not settle at the bottom. They completely pass through filter paper. They will not show Tyndall effect or the Brownian motion. They can be recovered by evaporation or crystallization. Colloidal solution are heterogeneous mixtures. The size ranges from 10 power minus 7 centimeter to 10 power minus 5 centimeter. They are translucent, homogeneous or heterogeneous. They do not settle down, neither they get completely dissolved. They exhibit Tyndall effect and Brownian motion. Talking about suspensions, they are heterogeneous mixture. Like example, sand in water or chalk powder in water. The example of colloids are egg albumin in water or starch in water. The suspension, the size of particles is more than 10 to the power minus 5 centimeter. They are opaque, heterogeneous. They settle down at the bottom. Example, sand and water. Because the particle size is very large, they do not show basically the Brownian movement. To some extent, they can scatter a beam of light. The suspension where the solute particles can be separated by filtration. The solute particles, they settle down after some time, making it unstable in nature. The solute particle up to some extent can scatter the path of light. Talking about the Tyndall effect, that is exhibited by colloidal particles, where they scatter the beam of light. As their size is intermediate, this effect was discovered by Tyndall. When white light enters a room through a small hole due to scattering, the scattering takes place by the dust and smoke particles. It is very clearly seen in dense forest due to the scattering of light by water droplets in the mist. Solution could be basically saturated, unsaturated or supersaturated solution. Saturated solutions are those which cannot dissolve. Furthermore, any solute in it at a given temperature. Unsaturated solutions are the ones which have the capacity to dissolve more solute at a given temperature. Supersaturated solutions are those in which the lattice space has been filled up with the solute particle and they cannot any further dissolve the solute component in them. A solution which contains more of the solute than required to make a saturated solution is a supersaturated solution. Talking about the concentration of the solution, concentration of a solution is the amount of solute present by the amount of the solution. The mass percentage could be calculated by mass of the solute by mass of the solution into 100. In this module, we had carried out discussion on the various chemical classification of matter, and we've talked about the types of solution. Hopefully, you must have garnered all the concepts thoroughly. Thank you.